something. Watch your fingers. You say share, copy the link. 1 second.
Greetings, everyone. You're here again with Chef India Camille from Back to Live by Chef India. Raw Food Daily. We are a little late today. You know, I just want to send out the link really quickly to everyone who's waiting for it. Yes, we are just a little behind because um, we are in Belize, right? And Belize is like stepping back in time. And so what that means is that things take things take longer. Things take longer to get done. We had to go grocery shopping. So if you see a whole bunch of bags in the background, I haven't had a moment yet to I haven't had a moment yet to put them up. So we're just sending out the link very briefly, and live link. All right. Um, okay, I can concentrate now. Everyone, with the exception, everyone has the link. We'll just everyone has the link. That should have the link. So today we are running behind, but we're gonna get right into it. We are making a it is a pumpkin pie, right? But I'm just gonna make a small amount for myself because I'm only one person and my husband is not big on the sweets right now. So we have to just make it for one. This would be for one portion, one serving, one person serving. But your recipe will reflect it for about 6 people, right? Like for a full pie. But I don't. We were off grid, so we don't have a refrigerator. So if we, make a whole pie, we're gonna have to eat that whole pie between now and tomorrow a.m. So we're just gonna get started right away. We're gonna start with the crust, right? And usually this is a real treat as far as this recipe because Raw Food Daily really only deals with one recipe per session, right? So we're gonna make the crust first, and it's gonna be a walnut crust, right? So I have 1 cup of walnuts in there, right? If you wanted to add, if you wanted to do half walnuts and half almonds, you could do that as well. I'm just going to work with what I am dealing with right now. And then I have 3 dates, okay? 3 medjool dates. Now these dates, you don't want them to be, and a dash of sea salt, okay? You don't want the, you don't want the crust to be too sweet, right? It's not meant to be too sweet. The dates are there to kind of bring the nuts together and provide a slight sweetness, but not too sweet. All right. Now what we're gonna do, and even 3 medjool dates to that 1 cup of nuts, it may be a little too much for me. So you could, if you're making it for a single serving and you don't want to waste food, you just could do 2. Start with 2. In fact, I'm gonna start with 2 and see how that works out, because I hate to have things too sweet or too sour, right? Or too anything. Then what we're gonna do is, because we are working with off grid and we're working with a generator, we have to prep everything first, right? So I'm gonna use some butternut squash here. And a lot of times when I'm making pie, I like to make sure I get the butternut squash with a longer neck, because then I know that this part here that I'm peeling is actually going to be lone butternut squash and not any seeds in there, right? Okay. So we're going to peel this butternut squash. And this is Raw Food Daily, so this is about Chef India working with what she can find and what she can get. You wouldn't believe me if I even told you the kind of the kind of things we have to go through to get various ingredients, right? So what we're gonna do is we're going to quarter this butternut squash, okay? Even if you're working with a Vitamix, you want to make sure to, how's that? Is that better? Is that good? Is that better? You want to make sure, can you see me fully? Okay, you can see my hands and everything. All right, you want to make sure to still cut up the butternut squash and don't put it in big chunks in your blender because, you know, butternut squash is more hard, right? So, especially if you don't have a Vitamix, you may even want to shred it first, okay? So we are going to add this right to the blender here. And we got 2 cups exactly, right, of butternut squash. Now, for the pie filling element, you know, I want this, again, we're working with undehydrated things, right? So I want this to be kind of thick, because it's not going to be able to set in a freezer or a fridge or even in a dehydrator, right? So I have 1/3 cup of my my pumpkin seeds here, right? And they've been soaking. And the thing is uh, with this recipe, the most important thing is you do definitely want to add a fat element to it, okay? And that's what I'm doing now. You could choose to use cashews if you wanted to. I had access to pumpkin seeds. Cashews are about 2 hours away from me, so I chose to use pumpkin seeds. It's very important that you do have that fat element, else it's just going to taste kind of like, nah, right? Because of the water content in the butternut squash, okay? And I really love butternut squash. I think squash really loves me too because of the minerals that are in it. Okay, I have just a few more here I'm going to take out. Oh, okay. All right. So, we have our 1/3 cup of pumpkin seeds or 2 cups of butternut squash. Now, we also are going to add some dates to this. So, I'm going to add 5 medjool dates. We'll start with 5 medjool dates. And this is really very dense still because it, you know, imagine just sitting and eating 5 medjool dates, okay? So that's what you're doing when you're gonna eat the pie, is you're sitting and eating 5 medjool dates. So what effect will that have on the goodie? Sometimes people go all live or raw, and you know, they eat a lot of dense food and then they wonder, well, why am I not losing weight, or why am I tired, or why is my skin still not, you know, accurate, you know, all of those things. I do have to get some ginger. I will be right back. Right where I needed it. Perfect. I love when I can find things easiest. So you rinse this off, because remember, you always rinse it even if you are going to peel it, which you're always going to do anyways, right? All right. All right, so I have a 2-inch piece of ginger here. And pop that right in there. Now, ideally, I probably would have used a little bit of almond milk instead of water, but I'm just going to go ahead and add there it is. So I can have some kind of understanding of measurement. That's the only thing. We're going to add, because it needs to be thick, right? So we're going to add 1/3 cup of water to start with. And I have here some pumpkin spice seasoning. I think I may have to add a little bit more dates, but we'll find out. And I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of pumpkin spice seasoning. Okay? All right. So I'm going to wait to add any coconut sugar just in case it's too sweet. We don't want it too sweet. And the last thing I'm going to add is a dash of sea salt. I would say a 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt. And if I had vanilla, I would add vanilla as well. But we don't. So we're working with what we got. But I will recommend what you can add in your recipe when you're at home. And if you're in the States, you probably have more access than I do. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to run these equipments, and then we're going to put you on mute, and we'll be right back. Okay, we are back. Oh, okay. That was quick, Drew. All right, let me get a little container so that I can put this in. Hmm. Well, oh, there it is. It is a little occupied. It is a little occupied. Okay, let's see here. All right. All right. So, what we have here, so you saw that I added a little bit more pumpkin seeds. Those were not soaked. um, I did add 1 tablespoon of unsoaked pumpkin seeds. They're not going to kill me, right? It's raw food daily. Sometimes you got to make those kind of adjustments. Not ideal because, you know, all of the unsoaked seeds, nuts, and grains contain enzyme inhibitors, which makes it more challenging for the goodie to digest it, okay? 1 little tablespoon is going to be okay. All right. Now, with that said, you also saw that I added 2 more dates and a little dash of salt and a little bit more pumpkin spice seasoning. So the recipe will reflect it, but it will be 1.5 teaspoon of pumpkin spice seasoning and 7 dates. Still a little dash of sea salt because I didn't add much, just a touch. All right, so we have our crust here. Now, I have to work with what I'm working with, right? So we don't have a little pie tart. But what you want to do is you want to take your uh, you want to take your crust here, and you see how it comes together, right? Now, I left this a little bit crunchy because it is crunchy, right? Now, what I think I'm gonna call this recipe though, you is gonna be walnut crunch pumpkin pie bowl. Because, you know, I'm making a bowl, right? But this is how you would do the crust anyways. You would same way, and you can see how it congeals together. The dates help to congeal it together, right? But because I'm not using a dehydrator, this pie it probably wouldn't sit up and be cuttable and sliceable, but it will be a delicious um, it's going to be a delicious pudding bowl or crunch bowl. I'm going to save a little for the top. Okay, so I put this at the bottom of the bowl, or it could be a pumpkin pie, walnut crunch pumpkin pie spice bowl. I think that works. All right, so you see the crust at the bottom, and I'm just going to, look how thick it is. It doesn't even want to come out here. I'm just going to add. Now, if you were to dehydrate this, you would dehydrate it at 100. Now, some people will say don't do it, you know, at over 118 degrees. But what will happen is that the pumpkin may ferment, right? Especially if you're using any coconut oil or coconut cream. Now, I'm going to add some crunch to the top here. I'm excited because really pumpkin pie is my favorite pie. One of my favorites. Apple pie is also one of my favorites, but pumpkin pie is one of my favorites. And this right here tastes just like pumpkin pie. It just does, it's not solidified like the pumpkin pie. But like I said, if you dehydrate it, it will become solidified, and you dehydrate it overnight. Okay, you can even put it in the fridge as well, or the freezer, and serve it frozen. The fat content that you added to it, it helps to manage it in freezing or in dehydrating. And I would probably recommend that you stay away from adding any coconut oil, any coconut butter, any coconut to this recipe whatsoever. I would stick with cashews or pumpkin seeds, which is a better choice probably than cashews as far as nutritionally concerned. But as far as making the recipe how you really want it to turn out, cashews would probably be creamier and add a creamier texture. But since we are making pumpkin pie, excuse the dogs, we have to just deal with our pumpkin because we want to deal with the pumpkin. Well, that's it for now. You know, I'm signing off. I'm glad that you're joining me. Thank you for your patience, right? Tell other people about it, and we will get on more of a fluid flow so you know ahead of time more so when we're going to do the lives. We're going to get our schedule down. I promise you. Enjoy this recipe. Absolutely. Don't go yet. Don't go. Absolutely delicious. Let's take a bite. Just so. Look at that. Mm. On point. You're gonna love it. Mhm.